Have you ever noticed that some people seem to get results without forcing anything, while others do everything right and still feel stuck? Maybe you felt it during a moment of déjà vu, or when a coincidence lined up so precisely it felt scripted. Or maybe you've had that strange sense that reality lagged for a second, like a glitch, and something deeper was happening behind what you could see. If that sounds familiar, there's a good chance you've also felt quietly frustrated. Not because you didn't try, but because you did. You visualized, you affirmed, you focused, and yet something always felt slightly off, like there was a missing piece no one could quite explain. If you're here, you're not alone in that feeling. Many people on a path of spiritual awakening sense that reality is more responsive than they were taught, but they can't figure out why the law of attraction seems effortless for a small group and exhausting for everyone else. This video isn't about motivation or positive thinking. It's about clarity, about uncovering what the 1% do differently, not on the surface, but at the level of quantum consciousness, where perception, awareness, and the hidden reality beneath events actually interact. The promise here is simple, but unsettling. Once you understand the piece that's been missing, you'll realize you were never failing at manifestation. You were playing by incomplete rules. There is a scientific reason why some people align with outcomes naturally, while others feel like they're pushing against an invisible resistance. And it has nothing to do with wanting more or believing harder. It has everything to do with how consciousness is positioned while observing reality. Stay with me, because in the next moment, we'll step away from theories and look at what physics itself reveals about observation, participation, and why the quantum field may be responding to you in ways you never learned to notice. Before we go any further, pause for a second and notice what brought you here. If you've ever felt that quiet sense of almost understanding, I want you to mark it. In the comments, write the single word, clarity. Just that word. When many people place the same intention in one space, patterns begin to reveal themselves, and this conversation is about patterns. When you press like on this video, see it as more than feedback. It's a signal that this kind of exploration matters, that conversations about hidden reality and quantum consciousness deserve to surface instead of getting buried. And if you decide to subscribe, understand what you're stepping into. This isn't a channel you watch passively. It's an entry into a shared inquiry with others who sense that spiritual awakening is less about belief and more about perception. Now stay with me, because to understand why this missing piece changes everything, we need to look at what science has discovered about observation itself. Now we need to anchor this in something concrete, because what's missing isn't mystical at all. In 1982, physicist Alain Aspect at the University of Paris-Sud, Orsay, conducted a series of experiments testing John Bell's theorem, a mathematical prediction that had quietly challenged physics since 1964. Bell proposed that if quantum mechanics was correct, reality could not be both local and independent of observation at the same time. Aspect's experiment tested entangled photons sent in opposite directions, measuring them under rapidly changing conditions so no signal could travel between them at light speed. According to classical physics, the particles should behave independently once separated. They didn't. The results were clear, repeatable, and deeply uncomfortable. The measurements of one particle were instantly correlated with the other, regardless of distance. Not delayed, not probabilistic in a classical sense. Instantaneous. This confirmed that the quantum field does not operate as a collection of separate objects, but as a connected system where observation plays a defining role. The mainstream implication was already shocking. Reality is non-local. But that wasn't the part that most people missed. Before we take this further, pause for a moment. If you've ever felt that strange pull when something meaningful happens at exactly the right time, or that subtle sense that events are responding to your inner state, this is where that feeling begins to make sense. Because the observer effect isn't just about particles in a lab, it's about participation, Aspect's work didn't just show that particles communicate beyond space. It showed that outcomes don't exist in a fixed way until interaction completes them. And this means something unsettling when you bring it closer to your life. If reality at its foundation is relational, then the way you engage with it matters more than you were taught. And this means that you are not just moving through a pre-written world. You are interacting with a quantum field that finalizes outcomes through observation itself. Not intention alone, not desire. Observation. And that's where many people feel that internal jolt, that "wait, what?" moment. Because you've seen how situations seem to crystallize only when you stop chasing them, or collapse negatively when you fixate on fear. This isn't about blame. It's about recognizing that your awareness has always been active, shaping probability into experience. And if that's true, then the question shifts dramatically. If observation completes reality, what happens when most people are observing from conditioned patterns they never chose? Because the next piece reveals why the subconscious state behind observation matters even more than awareness itself. This is where the missing piece stops being abstract and becomes physical. In 1991, neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, then at the University of Iowa, published research that challenged a core assumption about human decision-making. Studying patients with damage to emotional processing centers in the brain, Damasio discovered something unexpected. People who could think logically but couldn't feel properly were unable to make effective decisions at all. His work led to what became known as the somatic marker hypothesis. The discovery was simple and disruptive. The subconscious mind uses bodily sensations as signals long before conscious reasoning engages. And this explains far more than psychology textbooks admit. Because perception is not formed in the mind first. It's formed through sensation, through subtle shifts in the nervous system, through frequency changes in the body that register before thought. Your brain doesn't decide what's important and then feel something. Your body signals first and the mind follows. That tightening in your stomach, that heaviness in your chest, that quiet sense of ease when something aligns. These are not emotional byproducts, they are data, and this explains why so many people feel confused when trying to manifest. You're visualizing an outcome, but your subconscious mind is reading something else entirely. It's reading vibration, frequency, energy, and it uses those somatic signals to determine how you perceive reality moment to moment. If you're feeling this right now, a subtle awareness in your body, a shift in attention, it's not coincidence. Your system is recognizing something it already knows. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to surface-level intention, it responds to coherence between perception and internal state. When the subconscious mind is saturated with tension, anticipation, or self-protection, perception narrows. Reality appears resistant. When coherence emerges, perception opens and experience reorganizes. This isn't mystical language. It's how biological systems interface with information. And this is where many people pause and feel something click. You've noticed how certain opportunities appear when you stop forcing outcomes, or how repeating patterns show up when you're stuck in the same internal loop. That's not punishment, it's feedback. The field is mirroring perception shaped by frequency. Stay with this feeling for a moment. If something feels exposed or quietly personal, that matters, because the next layer isn't about technique or control. It's about the moment many people avoid, the recognition of how long they've been observing life from a place of protection rather than presence. And that's where things start to feel uncomfortably honest. There's a point in this process that almost everyone reaches, but rarely talks about. It's the quiet moment when enthusiasm fades and something heavier takes its place. Not dramatic, just lonely. A sense that you've been doing all the right things, learning, applying, staying hopeful, and yet you're still carrying doubt in silence. Many people reach that point late at night when there's no audience and no affirmation, Just the question they don't want to ask out loud. What if I misunderstood all of this? The cost isn't failure, it's isolation. Feeling like you're the only one who can't quite make reality respond the way it's supposed to. That uncertainty wears on people. It creates a private fatigue, a kind of emotional static that makes you question your own perception. And then comes the rupture. Not a breakdown, but a subtle crack. The moment when trying harder stops making sense. When forcing clarity only deepens confusion. When you realize the problem was never effort, but orientation. Many people describe that moment as strangely calm and unsettling at the same time, like standing still after years of pushing. If any part of that feels familiar, if there's a soft recognition instead of excitement right now, that's not weakness. That's honesty surfacing. You don't need to fix that feeling. You don't need to override it. You just need to acknowledge it. And if this reflection resonates, take a second to mark it. In the comments, write one word that describes what shifted for you while listening. Not a story, just the word. When others do the same, you'll see that this wasn't a private struggle after all. And if you feel drawn to continue this exploration, staying connected here isn't about commitment or belief. It's about choosing clarity over noise. Because what comes next isn't about correcting yourself. It's about reclaiming the position from which you've been observing your life and discovering what changes when awareness stops resisting itself. What finally reorganizes everything is this realization. What you've been calling a flaw was never a flaw at all. The overthinking, the sensitivity, the sense that you notice shifts others ignore. Those weren't signs that you were doing something wrong. They were signs that your perception was already operating beyond the surface layer of reality. As we moved through this together, the pattern revealed itself step by step. Physics showed us that observation participates in outcomes. Biology showed us that perception is guided by the body before the mind can intervene. And slowly, a single insight emerged with uncomfortable clarity. Consciousness creates not by force, but by position. The quantum observer doesn't push reality into shape. It stabilizes a viewpoint, and reality organizes around it. In this moment, right now, that insight isn't theoretical. You can feel it. Notice your breath, the way your body settles when something finally makes sense. That grounded awareness isn't relief, it's alignment. And if you're experiencing it, you're not alone. Many people who move through a spiritual awakening describe the same shift. The problem they were trying to fix turns out to be the doorway they were meant to walk through. The feeling of being out of sync wasn't a defect. It was perception without a framework. This is where belonging changes meaning. You're not part of a group because you believe the same thing. You're part of it because you recognize the same pattern, because you've felt reality respond differently depending on how you observe, because you've questioned why effort alone never seemed to work. That recognition is the beginning of a real reality shift, one grounded in awareness rather than control. The unsettling empowerment here is this: the influence you've been searching for was never missing. It was already active, shaping outcomes quietly, consistently, from beneath conscious intention. And here's the part we don't resolve yet. If the quantum observer stabilizes reality through perception, then the most disruptive question isn't how to change your life. It's what happens when you realize your awareness has been setting conditions long before you noticed it. Because once you see that, you can't go back to observing unconsciously. And that choice, to remain aware or drift back into habit, is not abstract, it's immediate. Something is already shifting. The only question is whether you meet it deliberately or let it pass unnoticed. Before this moment fades into memory, anchor it. In the comments, write the sentence, "I choose conscious observation," not as a declaration to others, but as a marker for yourself. Language fixes awareness in place. When many people do this together, it creates a visible signal that something collective is shifting, not emotionally but perceptually. Read what others write. You'll recognize yourself there, because quantum consciousness doesn't awaken in isolation. It emerges through shared recognition. If this perspective resonates, subscribe now. Not to consume content, but to remain inside a space designed for consciousness expansion rather than distraction. This channel exists for those moving through spiritual awakening with discernment, not belief, and for people ready to explore hidden reality without simplifying it. Subscribing is how you stay aligned with that inquiry, consistently and deliberately. In the next video, we go further into what many avoid. We'll explore why the quantum field appears to respond differently depending on how awareness observes, and what it means if reality has been mirroring perception long before intention ever formed. Your consciousness brought you here. What happens now is your choice.